Hello, everyone. Welcome to How's Your ePresence? I am Mark Galvin, and I am your host for this show. We're glad that you're here today to discover new ways to do marketing a little better for your business. Maybe learn a trick or two about something that's been, eluding you. And today we have a tremendous guest. I think that you're going to find there's some great information here because we're going to talk about email lists. What do we do on this show? We try to create a library of content that you can use in everyday business. So whenever you come back to our channel, you're trying to learn something new, you can always just type in, how do I, and find a response to that. So for example, we recently had somebody who came on and talked about how to scale e-commerce shops. We had someone else come in, talked about how to use data analytics to find your target market. So if you're interested in that type of content, check out our channel. We've got lots of people who are answering those questions. And today we're going to add a lot more great content to our channel. While we're great identifying guests, we are always open to suggestions or topics. So let's say you have something you would like for us to talk about. Let us know. So hit us in the chat box, make a comment here on the video. We will go find the guest that you think we should talk to, or find somebody to talk about the topic that you would like an answer, you'd like for me to answer here on the show. If you're just tuning in, we'd love for you to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button. I can never seem to get that right, the way this looks. Anyway, subscribe button down there. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on LinkedIn or on Facebook. We're always streaming these videos live, so you can jump in and be a part of the show if you want. Ask a question right there in the chat box, and we will be happy or thrilled to respond to any of those questions that pop up. If you want to find this show in the future, you can look for it by simply searching for ePresence, how to build a great email list. This is the last week for our webinar. We do have a webinar what we have been offering for the last year through COVID. There's a little banner there at the bottom of the screen. This is what we've decided. We're going to end that as of Friday at 1 o'clock, our last one. So if you would like help on your LinkedIn profile, you can join us by following that link. It's just $37.50 for your seat at that table. Here's the gig. You come. If you don't like it, you find it wasn't worth your time, I'm going to pay. Not only will I refund your money, but I will pay you $20 for your time. People that come to that show come to that webinar find that they increase their profile views by 400%. I'll give you some great tips, and I'll tell you how to change the things on your profile to make them great. So who do we have today? Our guest today is Jennie Wright. Jennie. Her name is spelled, it looks like to me, just as an American, I read Jeannie, but it's Jennie Wright, and she is an online marketing strategist. She's a list builder. She also helps you generate new leads through email and some other things. She's the creator of List Building 2.0, which is a system of building your list through attraction and permission. This is very interesting. She's got 15 years of marketing, communications, and branding experience, and she's managed over 300 online lists. So you definitely want to stick around. We're going to teach you today, share all those secrets on ways that you can grow a great email list. So, reminder, we're asking, if you have a question, go ahead and put that, hit us on the screen, ask your questions. We would love to share that directly with Jennie right here in the middle of the show. And you know what? Instead of waiting, let's go ahead and bring her on. Where is she? There you are. Jennie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. So you're joining us from just around the corner. Where are you?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. And you're bilingual. We were talking about that before the show. So we could do this show in French. Is that right?
We could, if you really wanted to. No problem.
I think that would be great. I would not understand half the show. Maybe we do that again. Maybe we do a show. I ask the questions in English and you respond to all of them in French.
There we go. That would be a really interesting show. That would cover quite the niche.
That'd be the new thing in podcasts and streaming. But we're not going to do that. I'm just kidding. Don't run away, anyone, if you're worried that we're going to do the show in French. You are quite an extraordinary person because you look at email list building in a way that, isn't necessarily intuitive from folks that are used to get as many followers as I can and grow my list as large as you can get it. You believe in organic list building. Why?
You get a better result. So if we throw a wide net out into the ocean expecting to, fish for one particular fish, we all know this is true. It's called bycatch. We end up with a net full of other fish that don't really matter to what we're talking about, right? Like that we want. The same applies with our list building. If we throw a wide net and we just try and get everybody on our list for one of these vanity metrics, what happens is we end up with people on our email list that really have no interest in who we are or what we're doing. They've come to kind of check us out and sniff us a little bit, but they're really not into us. And what happens is when we do actually post an offer or share something of value that we think would help them, they're like, this isn't really my thing. And either they'll unsubscribe or they'll just sit dormant on your list, which means you're paying for people to be on your list, because we all pay for our email marketing to be on a piece of software like ActiveCampaign. We're paying for those people to sit there and squat. We don't want
wait a minute.
squatters.
Now, don't we think that it's a good idea to have all those people on the list so that maybe they'll refer people to us? Could that be a benefit?
Very low, like in the percentages, it would be incredibly low, so much so that it wouldn't be worth your while, right? So having a more target, so here's what we do. We're going to save time, money, and effort by being incredibly targeted with our organic list building, but not only organic, but niche in. Then we're going to target our complete ideal client. This increases our ability to convert. We make more money. We have less stress, and we don't worry about the fact that we have 10,000 people on our list with only a 5% open rate, which is very, very low, right? So let's flip that, and I'd rather have 3,000 or 4,000 people on my list with a 30% open rate. That means I'm going to get a
tell you what. I got to tell you, if I had 5,000 people on my list and I was getting a 30% open rate, I would be ecstatic.
Yes.
That would be absolutely terrific. So philosophically, it makes great sense because you're really speaking to your audience. This is something we talk about really frequently, and that is if your target audience is going to be interested in buying. So if you're talking to them about something they're interested in, they're going to be much more engaged. So that does make really good sense. I will tell you, I think that the vanity piece of an email list is very true. Gosh, I got 10,000 people on my list. Well, that's great, but it really doesn't. I think it could hurt could it screw up your emails where it becomes more spam and people are, and Outlook is pushing it to the spam folder?
Well, not necessarily with Outlook, because you're using an email marketing provider like ActiveCampaign or one of those. But I'll give you an example. One of my previous clients had about 325,000 people on their list. And out of that,
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. And they'd grown it over 15 years.
Okay.
But the problem is that they had a ton of emails that nobody was responding to. There was no interaction in any way, shape, or form with a lot of the older email addresses, because as over 15 years, and you can imagine building a business over 15 years, their niche had slightly tweaked, right? They were offering different programs, products, and services than they were 15 years ago. They were talking about a slightly different message. So those people got on board with one message, and now you're talking about another. And there's been no list cleanup. Right. So let's talk about open rates and things like that. When you have a huge big list like that and you send emails and people are like, I don't know why I'm on this list anymore. It's been X amount of years, and they hit they forget why they're there. So they hit the spam button. Right. I don't know why I'm here. Well, that does negatively affect you. So if you do end up with enough spam comments in your emails, it does sort of knock you down a little bit in terms of your email marketing provider. They might say, you're getting a lot of these, we're going to put you on hold until we can figure out why. And you might actually get banned or even stopped from emailing your list because of that.
That would be bad. Oh, that could be really painful, especially if after you spent all this time building a humongous list and all of a sudden it's being pared down. All right. Or you're being really shut out. How do you build an organic list? Okay. And you just said, I got a 25,000 person list. You talked about cleaning up that list. That sounds like a real pain. How do you do such a thing?
Cleaning a list is easy. So almost every email marketing service like ActiveCampaign or Entrepreneur, MailChimp, and things like that, you can create what we call as an automation. And the automation, we set it up and we say, if if an email address has not opened an email in X amount of time or has not performed an action in X amount of time, take this action. And that would be hasn't opened an email in 6 months or a year, hasn't opened an email in 6 months or a year.
Oh, wow.
Remove them from the list. So make them as an unsubscribe. And so it just happens automatically for you. You can just set it up so it's not a big task. And then all you have to do is, go in there on a regular basis and hit the delete button and clean them out.
I love that. So you're really being proactive.
Yes.
Gosh, I mean, I will tell you that almost sounds like it's counterintuitive in some way, right? But it's that vanity metric that I'm measuring. I'm not really trying to have a targeted list. That makes sure my list is targeted.
It does, and it actually helps you in the long run. So the vanity metric that everybody worries about, it's a mindset shift. Okay, we need to shift that away from 10,000 followers, 25,000 people on my email list, whatever it is. We need to shift that to engaged. Okay, so we have to look at engagement over numbers.
Sure.
Right? And the engagement should be the thing that you're always striving for. If you're just striving for numbers, I can go and buy 10,000 email addresses off of websites for $300. I can do it in 5 seconds. I can do it. But those people are not good. Those are all fake email addresses. They're not going to be engaged. I'm not going to get any sales from them. So
oh my gosh, there's so much. There's so much here. So you've just basically said, don't buy a list. That doesn't make any sense, right? Mm-mm. And so we talked about the beginning of this subject. We were talking about organic list building. So building a list one person at a time makes the most sense. You want to kick people off your list by saying, hey, if you don't like my content, let me know. We'll stop sending you stuff because you're not opening it. Well, actually, quite frankly, if nobody's opening my email and I send the email that says, hey, you want to get off my list, let me know, they're probably not going to respond to that either.
Nope.
So how many of those do you send before you actually kick them off?
So I do something called a breakup sequence. So a breakup sequence is a series of emails that says, so again, it's an automation. This is all automated. And it basically says, hey, you know what? We haven't been jiving. You haven't been opening the emails. You haven't been really connecting. So, if you want to stay on the list, click this link and it'll keep you subscribed. And if it's not good for you, don't do anything. And we'll remove you in a week or so. Wow. And, no harm, no foul. Right. Usually I have a 3 email sequence to make that happen. Chances are they probably won't open it anyways because they haven't really opened anything in a long time, but we give them that option. And sometimes I will be honest with you, we have lurkers. Okay. A whole bunch of my clients were lurkers, people who were on my email list for 2 or even 3 years, never having bought us or anything at all, but they lurked. They opened the emails, but they did no action. And one of them, I sent them the breakup sequence and they were like, oh, not only do I want to stay, but I think we should talk because I'm ready to it pushed them into action. Yeah, I'm not kidding you.
Shut the front door. It actually converted somebody into a buyer.
Yep. So I am of the ilk of send the breakup sequence, regardless if you're like, oh, why should I do it? They're not going to open it anyways. Somebody might. And somebody might go, no. It's been, I've been neglecting you. I'm really, really sorry. Like in their head, they do this. I can't believe I didn't open these emails. I think you're awesome. I want to stay.
You're not a priority. Actually, what I see it as, if you sent me that, you just made me make you a priority. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'll get back to that. I tell you, I 100% do this when
everybody does.
Yeah, I've got my to-do list every day, and I literally have on my to-do list not doing today. So I've got something I need to do, and I go over and I was like, I am not doing this. And there was an email I needed to respond to earlier this week. They responded back to me, hey, are you going to get? It's like I got to move that from the not doing today to doing today list. That's fascinating. That is very fascinating. So what other ways, are there other methodologies that you apply to managing an email list so that it's really organic and robust, besides kicking the people off the list who, just aren't interested or engaging?
100%. So we have to manage these things like they're a living thing. Email lists have their own, like your email list and my email list are going to be incredibly different. Your email list, how some people send an email every single day, right? Those people? So some
Crazy.
people, yeah, crazy, but
Yep.
that's them. So there's a
Right.
whole email list culture that loves getting an email every single day. Okay. But
Right.
some people's lists don't like that. And your email list, because it's practically an entity of its own, you have to discover what the thresholds are. Right. So
Huh.
I know that my own list, that I can email them twice a week without any incident. There won't be people going, oh my God, this is too much. But if I
Right.
email them 3 times a week or 4 times a week, then I get the pushback and all of a sudden my unsubscribes go up. But
Huh.
but the thing that I wanted to get to was email list management, which is not over emailing, sending really good and actual quality content. And the third thing, which is really important, is promotion. So I like to follow the 90-10 rule of promotion versus content. I can't take credit for this rule. This was taught to me by my mentor, and it is 90% content, 10% promotion, which if you follow that rule, it means that you're not overly promoting to your list. In addition, you're not allowing other people to promote to your list. So think about that for a second. If you're on an online summit, if you are on a podcast like this, if you are, part of these different kinds of things, you will let your audience know about them. But if every single email you send is, go check out Megan's thing, go check out Mark's thing, go join this, go look at this, it's free, it's that, it's this, and join my thing, your list is going to be like, dude, stop. Like, it's too much, right? So we have to back it off and realize that we have to provide 90% content and 10% promo. And that's going to keep your list engaged.
So, and as I think an important thing here is you got to have a clear understanding of what promotion is.
Absolutely.
Right? So providing good content, like I will tell you, we provide good content on our shows, on our podcasts. But it still looks like promoting it when we say, hey, check out this show.
Mm-hmm.
So is it better? Is there a way that you found you could phrase that to make it not look like a promotion? Okay.
Yes.
How do you do that?
All right. So I'm on podcasts all the time. I have my own podcast. I'm on this one. I'm on different things. I promote different things. What I do is a weekly roundup. Okay. So I email my list twice a week. One email is a content-based email, and the other is a weekly roundup. And a weekly roundup email is something along the lines of, here's what's been happening this week, or here's what's coming up next week, and here's where I'm appearing, and here's where you can connect with me and things like that. It's not necessarily promo-based, not like join my thing, buy my thing, do the thing. It's more, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm showing up. And if you want to check it out, here's the links to go and do so. And what it comes across more as is, I really, like, let's just say you're sending that email, Mark, and people really like you. They'll be like, oh, Mark's going to be on this thing live. Yeah, I'll go check that out. Put that in my calendar. Oh, Mark's doing this thing. Great. I'm going to check that out. Put that on my calendar. And they start becoming the super fans. They start following you around. They'll show up on the IG lives. They'll check out the event that you're doing on LinkedIn. They'll check out your YouTube live and things like that. So it's called a roundup. And just round up everything that you're doing, what's going on, how people can see you and connect with you, and send that.
Interesting. Versus like breadcrumbs where you're dropping a ton of that stuff out there and it just becomes overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, great. I think that makes really good sense. And then, so that's your 10%. Would you consider it 10% or that's part of your 90%?
Because a lot of it is value-based and there is no call to action on it, it would fall into either or. I like to put it in my 90% because it is just providing really good content. Hey, today I'm going to be talking about, email marketing and vanity metrics with Mark Galvin on his YouTube channel. Here's a link to go and check it out, right? We're not selling anything. We're providing content. So for me, that falls in my 90%. Now, at the same time as we're doing this,
thank God, I was worried there for a moment.
At the same time that we're doing this, as an example, my friend Allison, who will be on this show at some point in the near future, she's promoting something, and she's actually promoting an online event. And I would say, you know what, I'm check this out with Mark, but at the same time, go and register for Allison's thing. Like, there is a little bit of, a crossover, but as long as you're providing relevant, good content, then people won't see it as the buy my thing, push my thing, do the thing.
I like it. I think that's great. The ratio is so important because I absolutely shut people down if all they're doing is asking me to buy this, buy this. I got another great product, buy this. Like, I just don't care. I don't want to be sold to. I love to buy, but I don't want to be sold to. So don't constantly push stuff at me. Let me choose when to engage. You said something, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You said something before that I thought was really interesting. Do you know who wants to get an email from you every day and who does not? And do you communicate to some people all the time and others are more like the once a week people? Do you have that data? And if you don't, can you get it?
You can get it.
Okay.
So we can get that through segmentation in our email lists. So with certain email marketing softwares, some of the more robust ones, not necessarily expensive, that's a misnomer, but the robust ones like ActiveCampaign or Entreport, those types of email marketing providers. And I'm a big fan of ActiveCampaign if you haven't figured that one out yet.
I have.
There is the opportunity for segmentation. So what we can do is we can create an email and say, hey, look, welcome to Jennie Wright's list. And here's how I'm going to help. And this is a welcome sequence, by the way. Here's how I'm going to help you out in the future. Now, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. How would you like me to take care of you? Would you like to receive an email once a week? Click here. Do you want to get my daily downloads? Like my daily download, which would be like an email with like 3 sentences in it, something really cool for that day. Like something, if you look at Seth Godin, he does that, like, little bits, right? He has a little daily email, right? So do you want to get that? Click here. And if you only want to hear from me when I'm sharing something of, that's promotional, click here. Now with automation segmentation, depending on where they clicked, we could add a tag. And the tag could be once a day email person, once a week email person, promo only email person, and then they only get what they want. Right?
So
now,
I love this. I think this is really interesting. It's putting them in control. And if they feel like they're in control, they're more apt to stay engaged. Now, I never thought about this. I do this with the Wall Street Journal, for example. And I also know when I get an email from them and I just like, I'm done. I'm getting too much info. I can quickly go in and change that to say, all right, I only want this one once a week. So you can let your audience be in control of even those emails. And I've never thought about it from my perspective. I only, the major publications seem to do this. You can help people do that so that they can let their audience control how often they're hearing from you.
100%. And it's not hard.
That's awesome. All right. You have been plugging ActiveCampaign. I hope they give you some kudos for that. What are the best email systems out there? You also mentioned MailChimp, but I'm just curious, if you were talking to someone, where would you send them?
It depends on where they are in the life cycle of their business. So for brand new entrepreneurs, just welcome to the space people, then I'm going to recommend that they don't do the free MailChimp. I have nothing against MailChimp. If MailChimp people are watching or listening, great, have at it. But we quickly outgrow MailChimp if we do our email list, like our email marketing and our list growth properly. MailChimp is great, but it has limited functionality for the things that you would want to do later on in your business with all the tagging and segmentation and automations that are easy to use. They just haven't gotten their UI to that point. So if you're brand spanking new, I would say use ActiveCampaign at the lowest level. Costs you $9 a month, but you get the access to the segmentation and the automation that the bigger guys do. Like, why not? Right. If you are already established and you have a good sized list, but your email marketing provider isn't working for you, maybe you're with Aweber and Aweber just doesn't facilitate that. Again, it's a UI problem. Then look at things like ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, and Entreport. Entreport is for people that I only recommend Entreport for people who have a list that exceeds 10,000, that's in the 20, the 30s, and the 40s, because it has more of that robust feature. But what you're paying for is great, but there's a downside. Like Entreport doesn't have the visual segmentation and automation systems that something like ActiveCampaign and ConvertKit do. So Yeah, there's so many of them out there. People are into MailerLite. Some people just love things like Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep. Every single one of these have a cult following, quite honestly, because people get into them and they just love them.
Well, they get used to them, right?
They
They're
do.
probably, just familiarity, I think, would be half the battle. Because if you get a new one, you got to learn it.
Yeah, but I will, I'm going to push back on that. I was with Aweber for about 6 years, and it was about 5.5 years too long because it was loved them for what they were at the time. They were great when I was starting to grow, but I quickly grew out of them. I stayed with them because it was familiarity, like it was familiar for me. But I shouldn't have. It actually prevented some of my growth, and it caused problems because there was duplicate emails happening and all this stuff. So, and I was like, I don't want to move. It's like inconvenient, and then I got to redo, and I got to do that, right? But you can make that easy. There are people out there. I used to do this when I was a virtual assistant. I would move people from one system to the other so that it was seamless for them, so they didn't have to worry about this kind of stuff. So there are people out there that'll do that for you. So, don't stick with something because it's convenient. It should be the thing that actually works.
So you're stating something that's somewhat obvious, but I do have to, it's worth mentioning, and that is that you are losing money if you're on the wrong system. And there's a lot of automation that you've been mentioning, that you've been highlighting, that comes with really managing a list well. And it sounds like to me you're saying that MailChimp is not really good at managing a lot of that automation. Is that a good assessment?
Yes, it's a good assessment. It's just, it has the automation and the segmentation, but visually. So if you're a visual person and you kind of want to see where all the pieces are, when you open up your email marketing system, MailChimp doesn't have that happening at the moment.
Okay. So, all right. And I knew this was going to happen. We're running out of time, but I got to ask another question. Are there some of these providers that can help you get a better open rate, right? And I'm just thinking that they're all coming from different locations, different IP addresses. Are some, because of the way the email systems look at IP addresses, are some better at getting open rates, or is that really about you getting an organic list that's going to the correct audience?
Firstly, it is about you having an organic list that'll go to the right audience, correct? But there are some email marketing providers that are very stringent on the conditions about adding people to a list. So as an example, email marketing providers, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, they all run on servers, right? And those servers, if they're getting bombarded by spam IP addresses or IP addresses that don't work or IP addresses that bounce, that has a negative impact on the server, which means it could affect other customers on the server. So one of the
ouch.
Yeah. One of the
That's horrible.
It is. One of the pieces of software that is very stringent, as an example, is Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep. And if they detect that there's bounce backs or issues or spam, they will immediately put you on a hold, and they may ban your account with zero ability to get it back. Like zero.
Get out.
Not kidding you, zero. And there's no.
And I can see that as valuable. So that would make
because they're protecting the whole network.
Yeah.
They're protecting everybody else on the server. And because Infusionsoft/Keep has a lot of the big lists, and I'm talking like 350,000, 450,000, 750,000 person lists, it is in their best interest to keep their servers tidy and clean. So they'll do that. But for the regular people in the world that do not have 350,000 people on their list, and we're looking at the 3s and the 5s and the 10,000 people lists and things like that. Yes, some email marketing providers are better than others. Do your research, right? Look at the comparisons. Go to Google and type in email marketing delivery by provider and put the date, 2021, put the year, okay? And then other people have done the work for us, and they will do the comparisons. And then you can take a look at it, right? Because there's data behind this.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be. I'm glad to hear it's public. That's fantastic.
Most of the time, just be careful with the links on some of those pages. There might be affiliate links, things like that, but it's worth looking at.
I think that's fantastic. All right. So what I'm bummed about is we didn't really get into in a deep dive of how you can get new followers. And I do want to ask that before we close out here. So how do you best get new people to follow your list? What are those basics?
Providing content that matters, right? So the best way is to do something that has high interactivity. So putting out a PDF, enter your name and email, and I'll send you this PDF so that you can download it and it'll sit on your desktop for 5 years is not going to do that for you. So my recommendation is going to be things such as webinars. So if you're a coach, consultant, or a service provider, do webinars or summits. Those are going to build the biggest list injection. And by list injection, I mean most amount of registrants than other things like, doing Facebook Lives and things like that, right? And they create the highest connection. So online challenges, webinars, and summits, those all create a high level of interaction, which creates a good list of engaged people.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So, and these days it's easy to do that online, right?
Absolutely.
It's easier than it used to be. And so describe, if you would, what is a summit? What do you see as a summit?
Okay, sure. So just as a thing, I've been doing summits since 2012. I've done about 300 of them. So I've produced about 300 of these events.
Oh my goodness.
Summits.
Then you're the right person to ask this question.
Yeah. Summits are an online event, okay, where you're leveraging the expertise of other experts to help you grow your list. So you would leverage about 20 to 25 other experts. You would interview them in advance. So it would be pre-recorded interviews or sessions, just like you would be doing here, asking good questions.
Right.
And then when that goes to launch, let's just say it launches on June 7th, as an example. There is a 3 or 4 week promotional window beforehand where everybody, yourself and the experts, are promoting, saying, hey, look, I'm on Mark Galvin's thing. Come check out Mark Galvin's thing. Go to, www.whatever.com/register. Check out this thing. And people register for free, right? So now you're leveraging all of your experts promoting on social media, which means it's organic and it's not paid advertising, and it's niched in because you've chosen these people specifically for what they're talking about.
Right.
And once they registered, we're growing our list. We also offer most times a VIP upgrade or an all access pass for $37 or $47. So we're making a little bit of money on the back end of this. Okay. And then we get to offer our program, product, or service when it's all said and done. The event usually lasts 3 to 5 days. You can expect to grow your list by several hundred to several thousand, depending on the caliber of speaker and how you promote.
Wow. That sounds like, that was worth the price of admission right there. I'm just going to tell you that's fantastic. I'm actually wondering, as a host of a podcast, that it would probably be just as easy to go back to all the guests that I've had on my podcast and say, hey, come back in, let's do a recap, or even just do a recorded session much like this.
Absolutely. Mark, you would be able to do a summit so easily because of what you're doing right now. You use the same software as long as you can record, right?
Right.
So as long as you can record it and keep it and then post it at a later date, absolutely, right? Wow. And then you make, the great thing about summits is you make them personal to you. So you might, because I think you're a people person, you might add in a live component.
I hate people. What are you talking about?
Right. Well, you hide it well. So you're either really good at acting or really like people. So you could add in a live component where everything is pre-recorded, but then when the summit is actually happening live, just like I said, maybe it's June 7th or something, 8th and 9th, then you would be doing some live panels where you get 10 of the other experts to all come on and you just round table these people, which you already do anyways.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So for you to do a summit, it would be easy. It would be super easy.
Morgan, are you writing that down? All right. This has been fantastic. And we did run over, and I knew this was going to happen. Jennie, you're just full of great information, high quality information that can help people make more money. At the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. Connecting with people that are interested in buying whatever your product is. Mm-hmm. Jennie just told you one of the key things, and we didn't even say this. I don't think I need to, but I'm going to. Your email list, you own. Yes. So You don't own your Facebook followers. You don't own your LinkedIn connections. You do own your email list. And that's why it is so important to grow this and to make sure that you're providing value to the people on that list. Well, this is fantastic. Jennie, where can people find you? Where do you want people to go?
I would love to connect with people. I'm very accessible. So come and find me at jennywright.com and also at systemtothrive.com, which is where my podcast is with my co-host. Come and find me on Facebook. You can find me at Jennie Wright JLW on Facebook. LinkedIn is a great way as well. So there's a multitude of ways. And if you want to connect with me directly, just email me, jenny@jennywright.com.
Rock on. All right. So you're launching a new website.
Yes, I am.
So I just want to make sure we highlight that. And the new website is jennywright.com, and that's going to launch this weekend, May the what?
I believe I'm going to, the date that I'm striving for is May 24th, which is actually Monday.
Okay, cool. So May 24, 2021. So if you're watching this in the future, you can always pop in and make sure you're heading to the right website. So you want to go to jennywright.com. But before then, if you're watching today, catching this, you want to go to systemtothrive.com.
Yes,
right?
Please, because if you go to jennywright.com right now, like as of today, it's just abysmal. It's terrible. And I'm so sorry if you see it.
Oh, okay. Well, so don't judge you if you're there before May 24, 2021.
Yeah.
Hey, Jennie, this is awesome. I am, here's the reason this is so much fun is I get to meet cool people like you and make new connections and create my list of influencers and people who have great information who can join me for a summit in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And but all joking aside, this has been fun. I do appreciate this is such quality information. I am so glad that Tim Fitzpatrick actually connected us. So I do appreciate that. Jennie, hang out a little bit. I want to ask you a couple questions right at the end as soon as we finish up here. But I love that you joined us today. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
So for the rest of you, just a quick reminder, we are still running the webinar. So the webinar finishes this Friday. This Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern, we're running our last one. It's good for up to 10 people. So there are a few seats left for $37.50. If you know anyone that's out of work, somebody that's been furloughed, somebody looking for a job, somebody looking for promotion, they should join me on that webinar, and they're going to see a great change. I've had two people recently reach out to me who joined the webinar, and one of them got a CEO's role that she did not think she was going to easily find, and it only took a month for her to get that role. Also have somebody else who got a promotion in her job. They both feel like it was because of the LinkedIn profile. So you should join me there. $37.50 is nothing. So you should join us there. ePresence, we're a full-service social media agency. You can find us at ePresence.me. We help companies, individuals, and we do consulting and training, as you know. So lots of great things. Go to ePresence.me to learn more about ePresence. So this show, How's Your ePresence, is everywhere. You can find us here on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We stream live all those places. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe here on YouTube or Facebook if you're watching there, or catch us on our LinkedIn channel. We're also all the shows show up in the podcast channel. I always forget this. As podcast listeners, we're dropping those on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, you name it. We're there. I'm on Spotify. My kids think that is so cool, and so do I. We're always adding new content, so make sure you're subscribing so you get that new content so you can learn new good things like today. Understanding how to build and maintain an email list is absolutely fantastic. This show is produced by ePresence, and our producer, writer, and social media extraordinaire is Morgan Wood. We appreciate the work that she does. Until next time, for my guest, Jennie Wright, I'm Mark Galvin, and this has been How's Your ePresence?